What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel. Now before we get into today's video guys, we are 25 subs away from 200. We are drawing closer and closer to the goal of 200 subscribers. We're getting there guys, we are getting there. And as I have said in previous videos, if this channel does indeed get to 200 subs, I will open up this Korean Strike of Neos booster box in its entirety on the channel. As you guys can tell, under the right light, you can easily tell it is completely taped, practically all around, on the hopes of to potentially pull this guy, Elemental Hero, excuse me, Air Neos, the so-called Forbidden Yu-Gi-Oh card. Is it really forbidden? I'll let you guys be the judge of that. If this channel gets to 500 subs, I will open up this Korean LOB booster box in its entirety on the channel that I got from my partners over at Collector Store, so be sure to check them out. Link and address will be in the description below, on the hopes to potentially pull a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a Dark Magician, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed. The possibilities are out there. However, if this channel gets to 1,000 subs, I will open up this first edition Toon Chaos box in its entirety on the channel that I also got from my partners at Collector Store, on the hopes to potentially pull my second ever Collector's Rare, because if you guys missed out on my Genesis Impact box opening, I pulled the Collector's Rare Beat Cup from the Underworld. Under the right light, you can easily tell it is a Collector's Rare. I know the lighting doesn't do it right there. Under that light, you can easily tell it's a Collector's Rare. Absolutely beautiful. I will be getting this graded at some point. Don't really know when though. But if you guys want to see these boxes get opened, maybe you guys want future. Sorry, let me rephrase. Maybe you guys want more episodes of WWE's biggest issue. Maybe you guys want more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's biggest issue. Deck profiles, card discussions, maybe even some WWE topic videos, or maybe you guys want to see some premium live event predictions and results. Well, if you guys want all of that and more, my channel is the place to be. So if you guys have not done so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And I want you guys to post in the comments below answering the question of the day, which is this. What cards do you guys believe should have been on the summer 2023 ban list? I'm very curious of what you guys have to say, because for today's video, I have an updated Gate Guardian deck profile for you guys that pertains to the brand new ban list. Now, the last time I did this deck, I ran, what was it, number 89, Diablos the Mind Hacker, and ironically enough, the card ended up getting banned, and I needed to do a bit of a revamp with this deck. The extra deck is both the main and the extra deck is about the same. The side deck, I reconstructed the side deck to go along with the runic decks and the Kashtira decks that are still probably still going to be running rampant for the summer. Excuse me. We're probably not going to be getting a ban list until I'd say around October, maybe somewhere around there. but for those who are new to the channel and don't know, the way I do deck profiles is I would show off the deck, but on camera it's kind of impossible at the moment. So what I do is I go to Nexus on my phone, I screenshot the deck, and I post the deck list on my Instagram about an hour or so after the deck profile video gets put up. So if you guys have not done so already, again, be sure to follow me on my Instagram. My ad will be in the description below. I always post the deck lists on there. And with that being said, guys, let's get straight into it. So as I said, I didn't really do a whole lot to the main deck. It's about the same, but I did throw in a couple of tweaks. So first up, obviously we have the three pieces of Gate Guardian. We have 2 Sangha, 2 Suijin, and 2 Kazejin. Each of these pieces have the exact same effect, which reads: once while face up on the field during damage cal, if your opponent in your opponent's turn, if this card is being attacked as a quick effect, target the attacking monster, make that target's attack 0 during damage cal only. You don't really care about that. You only care about going into the fusions, and there's 4 different fusions that you could choose from. So if you were to banish one of all 3 pieces, you can instantly go into Gate Guardians combined. If you choose Sangha and Suijin, you can go into Gate Guardian of Water and Thunder. If you choose Sangha and Kazejin, you can go into Gate Guardian of Thunder and Wind. Or if you go Kazejin Suijin, it's Gate Guardian of Wind and Water, which all 4 of these have some powerful effects. Some powerful effects, absolutely insane. Not much else to say about that. But what's even more cool is that you can even also use these to go into rank 7 plays, which I have 4 Exceed monsters in the extra deck. I have 3 synchros and 8 fusions. Think about that, guys. Absolutely insane. Then we are running 2 copies of Labyrinth Heavy Tank. Originally I was running it at 3, but I cut it down to 2 because I needed some room for the tweaks that I had, and once we get into the last batch of the monsters, you guys will understand why. But Labyrinth Heavy Tank is absolutely insane. This is basically this is essentially a Cyber Dragon on steroids. So the effect reads: you can normal summon this card without tributing. Cannot attack the turn it is normal summon. During your main phase, you can place one of your Gate Guardian pieces, which is either Sangha, Kazejin, or Suijin, that is banished or in your hand or deck, face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. Then if you control a Labyrinth Wall card, you can destroy a monster your opponent controls. You can only use this effect once per turn. So the idea is for you to activate the effect of Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth, send it from your hand to your graveyard, search out Labyrinth Wall Shadow, activate the Wall Shadow, normal summon the aforementioned Labyrinth Heavy Tank, trigger its effect, search out any one of the 3 Gate Guardian pieces, put it face up into your back row, activate Labyrinth Wall Shadow, take one of the other 2 pieces, put it into the back row, and if you have the 3rd Gate Guardian piece in your hand, so let's say for example you've got Sangha in hand and you've got Suijin and Kazejin on board in the back row. You banish all 3, you summon Gate Guardians combined, which is absolutely insane. Pretty nuts. And not only that, if you have as well, if you have another one of the Gate Guardian pieces or whatever, you can overlay it plus the Heavy Tank, go into a rank 7 play, and you can instantly go into your board and potentially push for game. But it all depends on what your opening hand looks like, which is pretty cool. Absolutely nuts. Then, of course, we got 3 copies of Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth. This is essentially just a terraforming for for the Labyrinth Wall Shadow, but it's also a really good Foolish Burial target. So I am running the one Foolish Burial because of that reason, because of the fact that Shadow Ghoul has a second effect that says at the start of the damage step, if your opponent's monster battles while you control a Labyrinth Wall card, which obviously would be the Labyrinth Wall Shadow, you can banish this card from your grave, destroy that opponent's monster. This is essentially an Ally of Justice Catastor, but you would have to banish Shadow Ghoul to get its effect off, which it's not bad. But what's even more cool is that I've got Cypher Lord Omega in the extra deck. So if I were to summon So if I were to summon the Omega and Shadow Ghoul is banished, and all of my monsters are banished, I could just bring them back into my graveyard, and I can go in and I basically have more board wipes. I guess you will, if that makes sense, for Shadow Ghoul, and I could just keep popping monsters over and over and over and over again until my opponent has no monsters on board, and I push for game, which is pretty cool. And then we got our tuner monsters, which we are running literally 6 of them. So we have 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Bell, a Jet Synchron, and the newly unbanned Mecha Phantom Beast O-Line. Yes, O-Line is no longer banned with what's that one card? I can't think of it. With Crystron, Halka Fibrax now banned, O-Lion can peek its freaky ass head out the window. So if you guys have never seen O-Lion before, it's a 2-star Wind Machine Tuner with 600 attack and 1000 defense, and the effect reads: while you control a token, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Mecha Phantom Beast token, which would be a 3-star Wind Machine with 0 attack and defense, and you can only use this effect once per turn. You can banish this card from your grave, and after this effect resolves, normal summon a Mecha Phantom Beast monster from your hand. So the idea is if you have let's say So the idea would be for you to use O-Lion, use O-Lion to go into one of your level 8 synchros, which is possible, but it takes a little bit of setup. It takes a little bit of setup. So if your opponent were to give you a level 6 monster, O-Lion basically becomes fodder to go into one of your level 8 synchros, depending on what you have, which is pretty cool. But not only that, Jet Synchron plus any one of the 7 stars is another thing that can help you go into a level 8 synchro, which is pretty awesome. O-Lion's still a good way to still a good like Foolish Burial target, which is pretty cool, because it says if this card is sent to the graveyard, meaning no matter how it gets sent there, the effect triggers, which is pretty cool. But moving on into the spells, we have 2 copies of Sacred Sword of 7 stars. This is essentially Pot of Greed, just by banishing one of your level 7s, which is pretty nice. We got 3 Pot of Acquisitiveness. This is basically Omega, but instead of just targeting 1, you actually get to target 3, and you draw a card, which is pretty cool. It's not as powerful as a pot of avarice or whatever, but it's still pretty good to say the very least. We got 3 fusion deployment as a way to ensure that you're able to summon Gate Guardians combined if you don't have a piece in hand, but you do have the Wall Shadow plus the Labyrinth heavy tank. Fusion deployment just ensures that you're able to go into one of your Gate Guardian fusions. Then of course Foolish Burial, because not just because of the old line, but also because of the Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth, which is pretty nice. Call by, because obviously hand traps could be a pain in the fucking ass. Harpy's Feather Duster, because back row can also be a pain in the ass as well. We have 2 copies of Field Barrier. This is actually a really good card because if Labyrinth Wall Shadow is the only field spell on board and you activate Field Barrier, your opponent won't be able to activate any field spells whatsoever, and it ensures that you're able that the hell is on my tongue? Anyway, it basically just ensures that even if your opponent were to activate Harpy's Feather Duster, the field spell would still be intact, even if the Field Barrier were to be destroyed by the effects of the Duster, which is pretty cool. And then of course we got the aforementioned Labyrinth Wall Shadow. This basically just ensures that you're able to get your Gate Guardian pieces out, and you're able to summon out your fusion monsters and potentially push for game. But it has another effect. So the full effect reads: monsters cannot attack the turn they are summoned except monsters whose original level is 5 or higher. Once per turn during your main phase, you can place one of your Gate Guardian pieces that is banished, or in your hand, or in your deck, face up, and your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. At the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can target a monster your opponent controls with less than 1600 and destroy. So this is basically a good way to just pop your opponent's board and just potentially push for game, which is absolutely nuts. So this is basically another copy of Catastor, which is pretty cool. And then to round up all the spells, we have 3 copies of Double Attack Wind and Thunder. This card is absolutely nuts. So the effect reads: if you control a Gate Guardian monster, target one card on the field, destroy it. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your grave, add one of your Gate Guardian pieces that is banished or in your hand, or that is banished or in your deck. Sorry, add to your hand. You basically get to add one of those targets to your hand, which is pretty cool, and you can only use this effect once per turn. The funny thing is that the first effect is a soft once per turn, meaning you can activate all three copies, pop literally your opponent's whole board, and then during each of your turns, you banish it, you add a Gate Guardian piece to your hand, and you can go into more of your Gate Guardian pieces to your Gate Guardian fusions, which is absolutely nuts. And then to round up the whole main deck, to round up the whole main deck, we have, give me a second here, guys. All right, there we go. There we go. Sorry, guys. Something popped up on my laptop. Sorry about that, guys. But to round up the whole main deck for the traps, we have 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence and 2 copies of Zing Zang Hu as a way to stop your opponent from pretty much just activating any back row that they have already set. Once they set the back row, you flip up Zing Zang Hu, and it's basically GG. Pretty simple. Moving on into the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Gate Guardians combined. This card is absolutely nuts. So obviously it does require all 3 Gate Guardian pieces, and the effect reads that it must be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above cards from your hand, field, and or graveyard. So you don't use poly, you don't use any like fusion cards. it's basically contact fusion, sort of. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control as a quick effect, negate that effect and destroy that card. You can only use this effect thrice per turn, meaning 3 times. Is basically a triple Solemn Judgment, which is pretty nasty. Pretty nasty, guys. If this face-up special summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon one level 11 or lower Gate Guardian monster from your deck or extra, ignoring summoning conditions. So you can literally summon out any one of the Gate Guardian pieces or any of the other Gate Guardian fusions that you may have at your disposal, which is absolutely nuts. And I realized that I think there was something else that I could run in the extra deck. Give me a second, guys. I want to see about something. I want to see what I could summon, because I just realized that the Gate Guardian, not Gate Guardians combined, but the other Gate Guardian pieces, they're actually level 9. So I believe, if I could, I can summon out a rank 9 if I wanted. But what could I... I would say VFD, but VFD's banned crazy enough. Maybe Dyson Sphere? I don't know. Hang on, guys. Once per battle step during your opponent's turn, this card with excess materials is attacked. Oh, yes I can. I can actually use Dyson Sphere. I just realized, yes, I can use Dyson Sphere. The reason being is because, again, the monsters are level 9. So if you're able to make any, two of the level 9 Gate Guardian pieces, you can instantly go into Dyson Sphere. That is probably the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. That is absolutely hilarious. And you can even also go into 9 Lives Cat as well. And I think I will add that just because of the fact that 9 Lives Cat has a sort of like a protection, sort of like a protection slash like a sort of like a protection slash like Monster Reborn effect. So I will be adding those instead of what I originally had. But still, that's pretty cool. But anyway, that being said, guys, Gate Guardians combined basically is Solemn Judgment, is basically triple Solemn Judgment plus what you call it? Plus Waking the Dragon of sort of, which is pretty cool. Gate Guardian Water and Thunder Beat is basically a way to change one of your opponent's monsters' attack to 0, and it also lets you special summon either Suijin or Sangha whenever this card gets sent either to the graveyard, gets banished, or gets put back in the extra, which is pretty nice. Thunder and Wind, Wind and Thunder and Wind is basically Spell and Trap Rhoda, which is pretty nice. 2 copies of that, and then the 2 Wind and Water is basically another version of Solemn Judgment, but you can only use it twice per turn, which is pretty cool. My Synchro lineup, I've got a Psychic and Punisher, a Draco Berserker of the Tenny, and a Cypher Lord Omega. Psychic and Punisher is just a way to ensure that it can topple pretty much any monster that your opponent may throw at you, which is pretty nice. Draco is basically bottomless trap hole, but with the negation, which is pretty nice. And then Omega is basically just a way to take your banished cards, put them back into your graveyard, and you can use them again over and over again, which is pretty nice. And then my Xyz lineup, I've got now obviously number 9 Dyson Sphere, a bit of a gimmicky card, but it's actually kind of good, especially with a deck like this, and especially if you're able to summon any two of the Gate Guardian level 9 fusions. It's pretty nasty. So Dyson Sphere's effect reads once per battle step during your opponent's turn, if this card with material is attacked, negate the attack, which is a quick effect. When this card is targeted for an attack while it has no Xyz material, you can target 2 monsters in your graveyard, attach those targets to this card as material. During your main phase 1, you can detach 1 material from this card. This card can attack your opponent directly this turn. Your opponent must control a monster with higher attack than this card for you to activate and to resolve this effect. This is basically probably one of the biggest game changers in the deck. If you're able to push for game, if you know that you have game on board and your opponent has a monster who has attack higher than this card, then it can attack your opponent directly, and then you can just attack the rest of your opponent's monsters off of the effect of a Draco Berserker, because Draco Berserker can attack twice, which is pretty nice. And then Punisher can just basically help you push for game, which is pretty cool, which is absolutely nuts. 9 Lives Cat, a bit of another of a gimmicky card of sorts, but this card is actually kind of good. So its effect reads: your opponent cannot target other monsters you control that were special summoned from the graveyard with card effects. You can detach 1 material from this card, target a level 9 monster in your grave, or a monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect once per turn. Again, this is basically Monster Reborn, and once you've used up its Monster Reborn effect, then basically 9 Lives Cat can ensure that you're able to protect any one of your level 9 monsters, which are obviously your fusions, which is pretty cool. It just protects them, which is pretty nice. Then we got number 28, Titanic Moth. This is actually a bit of an interesting card. So its effect reads, if you control no monsters, this card can attack directly, but when it does so, using this effect, the battle damage is cut in half. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can detach 1 material from this card and inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card in their hand. This is basically another good way to deal damage to your opponent, while at the same time dealing even more damage to your opponent for any cards that they have in their hand. They get dealt 500 points for each, which is pretty cool. And then we got the Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon as a way to disrupt your opponent from going full combo. This is actually perfect going up against the Kashtira decks, and even also the Runic decks as well, because Kashtira, because with the Kashtira decks, if they have the continuous spell plus the field spell in hand, that's basically full combo. So you want to try. So you want to try and go first, depending on what your opening hand looks like. If your opening hand is, actually does consist of the Shadow Ghoul, Labyrinth Heavy Tank, plus Fusion Deployment, and I'll say, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3. I'll say Zing Zang Hu, and let's say Field Barrier. Let's just say that if that's your opening hand, that's essentially full combo right there. That is essentially full combo right there. So the idea would be activate Shadow Ghoul, activate Shadow Ghoul, discard in, add Labyrinth Wall Shadow, activate the Wall Shadow, trigger its effect, take, I'll say, Kazejin, put it into the back row, normal summon the Labyrinth Heavy Tank, trigger its effect, take, I'll say Suijin, put it into the back row, activate fusion deployment, target Sangha, and of course, you know, special summon in, send, what was it? Yeah, send Suijin and Kazejin to your grave, to the grave, summon out Gate Guardian of Wind and Water, overlay Sangha and the Labyrinth Heavy Tank, summon Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, set Zing Zing Hu, pass your turn. That right there would be your opening. That right there would be your opening board. If you were to have that kind of hand, that would be your opening board, which is not bad, because not only would you have a bit of negation in the form of Wind and Water, you also have a bit of disruption in the form of the Red Flare Metal Dragon, and your opponent gets dealt damage if they commit to their board, which is not something that they would want to do, which is pretty hilarious. But that's it for the extra deck. My side deck was constructed to go up against the Cashier decks, the Runic decks, and pretty much like any deck that overcommits to their board, if you will. So for my side deck, I've got 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 copies of probably one of the most insane cards I never thought I would use, Contact C. The effect of Contact C reads, when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand to the opponent's field in defense. This card's controller cannot fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon unless they use this card as material. This card is absolutely nuts, especially if your opponent, especially going up against the Cashier decks. This card is absolutely nasty. It is nasty. Then of course we got 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, 2 copies of Effect Veiler, a second copy of Jet Synchron, just in case if the O-Line doesn't work, which most likely it won't. You can side out the O-Line for the second Jet Synchron, and you're able to go into your Draco Berserker or your Cypher Omega a lot more quicker, which is pretty cool. 2 copies of Evenly Matched, just as a way to break your opponent's board, especially if you have 1 spot left. If you have 1 spot in your back row left, especially going up against the Cashier decks, you go Battle Phase, end the Battle Phase, Evenly Matched, board is wiped, and you can go and you can just combo off and just tell your opponent fuck you, plain simple. Then we got 2 copies of Vain Betrayer. This is a good way to stop Kashtira, Shangi Era, and also a Rise Heart as well, which is pretty nice. And it also mills 3 cards from the top of your opponent's deck, which is absolutely insane. It's a good way to force deck out your opponent, especially if they overcommitted to their board and they only have like 3 or 4 cards left in their main deck. You can just activate Vain Betrayer, target one of your opponent's Exceed monsters, and you've got your board. You've got your board. You can make your board, and then basically you would pass your turn. Their turn comes. They draw. That's 3 cards left. They would go end phase, mill 3. Your turn comes. You draw. You pass, and it's game over. Which is probably the most dick move you would ever see. But it's a dick move nonetheless. And then we got 2 copies of Solemn Warning to round out the entire deck. You know, just as another like negation, if you will, which is pretty cool. But with that being said, guys, that will do it for this video. Again, I always post the deck list on my Instagram, so be sure to check it out. Check it out when it gets posted. It'll probably be posted within about an hour or so after the video gets posted. So be sure to follow me on all of my social media, including my Instagram. My ads will be in the description below. And if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button, and also too, if you guys haven't done so already, if you guys want to send me fan mail, if you guys want me to open it up on the channel, all the info will be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.